Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here, and it's been a year to the date of me recording this video since the final episode of Saber aired. It ran from September 6th, 2020 to August 29th, 2021. And it's been, something I wanted to work on. I didn't do a full review at the end of the season. I wanted to wait because, I felt like, there's more. It just, something about Saber was just, it's tough to explain. And mind you, this is not scripted. I didn't write anything else. I didn't plan what I was going to say because I work better off the top of my head instead of just, writing down everything and then going through it. I didn't even do bullet points because, you know, it's, after a year and everything we got with Revice, Saber is one of the reasons why my YouTube channel is where it's at right now. I really started actively being a Toku content creator a portion of the way through Saber. I got a majority of my copyright claims and strikes making Saber videos and learning and evolving, and I attribute a lot of where I am now to covering and watching Saber. And Saber was the first real Kamen Rider season I watched week to week since from start to finish since probably Wizard, maybe. So Saber has a special place in my heart, and I wanted to wait because I was kind of biased at the time for Saber, and I felt like, all right, I need to, like, it's been a year. Revice is about to air its finale, and I was like, let's talk about Saber, because I think out of all the seasons, like, I thought Revice was going to be very polarizing with opinions, but I think Saber is, from a Reiwa standpoint, probably the most divisive opinions on this show. And looking back on it, because I did go back through and watch a couple of like key episodes, and I did watch Trio the Deep Sin again, and I will say I still enjoy Saber a lot. I really do. I think, it's one of the seasons that had a lot of really good suit designs. And while there's pandemic and everything going on, a lot of rewrites and a lot of changing of story elements to it, and a good fair amount of repaint and kit bashing for suits, I think that this still was a decent season. I was at one point having it ranked pretty high for myself, but I did drop it down after rewatching some older seasons again and then really digesting everything. And I generally miss Saber. I think Saber had some moments where it was enjoyable, and now leading up to the end of Revice, I was like, I feel the same way when I was watching Saber, like, because Revice was, it had inconsistencies with some plot points, but every episode had something that was like enjoyable, whereas Saber, like, there was a lot more stuff drawn out. And going back and thinking about it, everything with DSAS and Kenzin that was dragged out. At the time, there were certain times where, like, Slash was one of my favorite riders from a suit design and just liking that character. But then now looking back, his character was very stale, wasn't fleshed out enough, and I'm not taking into consideration all the specials. There was a lot of specials, okay? The story of the swordsman ones they did and this and that, which were enjoyable, but I gotta stick to just the main series, because then also if I factor in Trio the Deep Sin and the Falcon special and this and that, it's like, no, gotta just take it at value from the show itself. There's a lot of elements of it that just still bother me, like when they did the Sword of Arthur and with the mecha, like, that just felt like such a throwaway, but they made it such an important plot point of Toma becoming a swordsman. And they also Storios being the villain and kind of behind the scenes the whole time, like, wasn't as big of a shock value as we thought. They did the whole conspiracy arc with Master of Logos, and everyone turning on Toma, and then he had to fight. And that's some like the story. Like we got some great fights of that. We got freaking Ogami and Toma and freaking Toma fighting. We had him basically going one on one with all swordsmen and convincing them that they're coming back, all while evolving his power as a swordsman. And it was so good. I think from a finale standpoint, the finale like still tugs on your heartstrings. Strings having all the fan submitted videos of people telling the favorite story in the freaking Toma and the black screen and all the little blocks coming up. That still is probably one of my favorite moments in Kamen Rider, at least for Reiwa era. Probably for more than most of Heisei Phase 2. But yeah, I just I don't know. Like I went pretty merch heavy with Saber. But that's a given that happens a lot for me. And with I like books, so I think that's where some of my biasness comes from towards the season. Because I'm an avid reader, not just manga, actual books. We have one day I'll do a tour video where you could see my non-toku stuff. We have quite the collection of books. We got a couple hundred books easily, easily. And then you know, so a book season just really appealed to me. Toma being a writer and this and that. So it's like, you get those pieces of identity that you find from yourself inside of these characters. And I think just a lot of stuff seems so jumbled with Saber. I you know, the rose colored goggles being off, I just don't I don't know how I feel, honestly. Like it's been a year. Um Obviously I remember the story and everything that happened like from an overall arc standpoint, but there's just a lot of stuff that just is forgettable. I'll remember like Primitive Dragon debuting, and then I'll remember, you know, Kento coming back as Caliber, and Cross Saber, which had that delicious guitar riff and such a great suit design. Um, I'll remember Desast and Kenzin their fight because that was a very good scene. That was such a great fight. The music, the dialogue, their story, while it was dragged out for so long without any real progression to it, and I feel like it lasted too long. Like that's it happened. Then we got things like the Lord of the Wises, those fights with everybody. We had the freaking Dragon Ball Z, reference with Piccolo, Goku, and Raditz in their fight, which happened. And, you know, there's there's a good amount of character redemptions in this. Obviously, the star of the whole entire thing was Ogami. Like he was such a good Kamen Rider. We don't usually get an older father as a Kamen Rider, so it was nice to see that. But I don't know. It's been a year, like, and it wasn't a forgettable season. But like I said, like all those moments I just listed, those are the ones that are at the forefront of my mind. And I'm like going back, and I'm just like, well, like I don't remember Kento technically dying. I really don't remember that. I know it happened. I know, but I don't remember the scene like vividly in my brain because there's a lot of that show that was just scattered and all over the place that it was like, oh, yeah, this happened at one point. I don't remember. Um, but it was still an enjoyable season. Like now that Revice is coming to an end, I'm about to watch episode 50 of that. It's one of those things where it's like Revice. I have more things about this I'll remember or that are at the forefront, and not just because I have been watching the show and it's the most recent one, but there are moments of this that I was like, this is cool. I'm gonna remember this. And I think Saber was honestly like, especially with Food OPI going on right now, Saber I'm starting to see like all the the inspirations from Double to an extent, not from story or this and that, but from the standpoint of the books. Like you have the right book, left book, middle book, and it will change, you know, the suit up and this and that. And it almost made me realize, with like the different Gaia memories doing half and half on the suits. Um, but no, I think I don't know. Like I think Saber, like Trio Deep Sin was good, and I'm trying not to like put the movie in with the show itself, but it is a part of the continuity, it is a part of everything. I mean, also if you take into consideration Beyond Generation, Superhero Senki, stuff like that, those there's a lot of like side garnishes to the actual meal, the main dish that really made it better. Um, and it was a great cast of acting and this and that. Like the Venturo's actor, like stole the show. He's a phenomenal actor, and also we can't forget all the memes Saber gave us too. And it's like, okay, Saber gave a lot of gifts to the Toku community, mainly memes and some awkward, weird shipping. I'm not even gonna discuss Darren Dahl and Sabella. Just not gonna. Like the internet has, I've seen too many tweets about that over the year of that show airing, and even after that, I was like, I don't need to touch on that at all. Poor writing, and those characters could have been a lot better. And that's the thing, Saber could have been a lot better. It could have been worse too. Okay, just throwing that out there. Um, it's it's almost like it's almost weird because like when say like there's certain Kamen Rider seasons when I finish them, I'm like, wow, and I just sit there and just digest it and just be like, damn, and that's only happened a few seasons, like Blade, Wizard, Build, and Zero One kind of, but Zero One kept going with all those side stories and this and that, and I was like, tough to keep up. And Saber, I felt like a lot of their specials and spinoffs didn't really add anything to it because it was like I feel them were like day in the life type things. I will say Ogami getting a manga, like a prequel manga that was like current time and back when he was high school becoming a Kamen Rider was really good. If you haven't checked those out, there are English translated versions of it. If you are a fan of Ogami and you did like Saber, it is a great companion piece. I would love to see that get a English translated physical official release. That would be really good. Um, Along with also battle spirits and everything else, but that's besides the point. But yeah, so I was talking with a friend of mine who watched Saber also with me, and we were discussing, just if there really were too many riders, because that's been like the debate now, especially with Geats being announced and this and that. Were there too many riders in Saber? And I was like, well, they were going for Knights of the Round, so it made sense. But I feel like it just fell flat, and I stem everything back to the Sword of Arthur, like the King Arthur book. Like I stem everything back to that 2 episode part where after that nothing happened with it. Like, and I feel like that should have been, they should have dived deeper into that. I don't know the original plans. I didn't look up because I know a lot of people had, you know, documents and information and all the stuff of what the original story was going to be. I didn't look into any of that stuff. I should have, but I didn't, because I don't do what ifs. I have to take the show by what they wrote, what they filmed, what they gave us. The presentation. This is what they decided to give us, not compared to like what they planned to give us. And I get it. And I think one of the things is why I always put an asterisk next to Saber. Same with 01 is with quarantines, pandemic, everything else going on. They had a lot of stuff to deal with. And like, I'm not in the film industry. I'm not making TV shows, movies, anything like that. But as a professional, as someone who also had to deal with a lot of red tape and a lot of finagling and figuring out how to continue my career while in a pandemic. So I can only imagine the stress I had. I can only like, I know how much stress I had. I can only imagine how much stress they went through to make this show. And that's why I always appreciate the fact that, hey, they still gave us a show. They, yes, there was a lot more green screens than I'm sure they probably wanted to use. I'm pretty sure limiting how many people are near each other in the snap probably made it a lot more difficult to get a lot of the stuff they wanted to do done. But I guess, what I'm trying to say, Saber's still a good season. I still enjoy my time watching it. I started, like I said, I rewatched a couple of key episodes. I watched the last like 3 episodes, 46, 47, 48. Then I went back and I watched the Sword of Arthur one because I really liked that episode. And obviously I call it when Rentaro got a snow lion. And then I also watched like the first episode. I always like the first episode to rewatch just from a standpoint of, okay, here's how you became a Kamen Rider. And then you watch the last episode, it's like, here's your hero's journey. Here is the culmination of your everything you went through, finding yourself, finding your power, and discovering everything. And then you see it, especially with Reiwa now that, like, except for Revice that I'm sure of, hopefully. Obviously, it's just a overpowered base form. I don't know if Revice is going to do that because they still have Ultimate Revice, so I'm pretty sure with how the show's going, we're not going to get Revice in their base form as like their final a powered up version of it. I highly doubt that's going to happen, which means that trend can finally end, which is good. But with, Saber, uh, there's a lot of intricate, designs. I kind of wish they dove more into the book world or the Wonder Story and everything like that. I kind of wish they did. Uh, and obviously, I'm not gonna forget about Tassel. Everyone hated Tassel. I love Tassel. Bone lecture, like, I was literally answering my phone like that constantly when people got like, "Oh, bone lecture," and like, what? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's, you know, he like. I think I like the idea of having like, I don't want to say a mascot, having someone who is just introducing, recapping the story for you. I really enjoyed that, especially when later on he was interjected as a actual character towards a story and progressed the plot. That was really good, especially for the longest time. I thought it was just. It reminded me of when I was younger because I'm old. They would do this thing where this guy, like, they would play like symphony music, and the camera would pan over some books, and a guy would sit by the fire in a robe and take the book and start reading it. We're gonna go over this today. Like, that's what Tassel kind of reminded me of. It's cranked up to like 300% charisma and outlandish outfits. And when they tied in everything with Tassel becoming actually a part of the story with Storios and everyone else, like, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. And there was there. I always get flack because I defend Saber. I will. And I'm gonna defend Saber still, continuing. I'm going forward. Anytime someone says something negative about Saber, that's like unwarranted, at least, because everyone's entitled to their opinion. Just like this video is, my opinion of Saber, and I think, I'm gonna be a Saber defender. I don't think there's ever gonna be a time where I'm gonna be like, Saber was trash, Saber sucked. Like, I won't. Um, I enjoyed Saber. I just like I enjoyed Revice. I very rarely wholeheartedly dislike a Kamen Rider season. I can always find something to enjoy from it because I don't like to watch things I don't enjoy. So, if I'm 100% not enjoying something, I'm probably not going to finish it. But I'm always finding things to enjoy about shows, if that makes sense. So these are at least the ones I watch. But Saber, I mean, Saber had some catchy jingles for the gimmicks. I mean, obviously you can see right over my shoulder, I got the three Reiwas right there. Don't know what I'm gonna do once I get the Geats Desire Driver. That's a story for a different time. Um, I just I just really wanted to like go over some thoughts on Saber and really just talk out like all the things that have been in my brain about the show because it's been a year, and I'm hoping. I know Saber's kind of done. Like, I don't think we're getting any more. If we get a V Cinema or a movie, it'll probably be for one of the anniversaries, and I don't think it'll be 5-year anniversary. Probably like 10. So I'm actually really hopeful for that. I still have this idea where like Sora becomes a Kamen Rider, like he gets it passed down to him, so he becomes Ogami. I think that'd be really cool, especially if you read the manga. It kind of got passed down, so it's like that would actually be really cool. But even with everything we're given, if we don't get another movie 5, 10 years from now, I think, you know, and this, I'm not going to tie it into the full series. I think Trio Deep Sin was a nice little way to close the door on Saber. This video is also me kind of closing the door on Saber for myself because I didn't do a full Saber video, and it's something that when Revice was beginning to air, I was like, I never made a Saber video, and I was like, I should. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be weird to do one just in the middle. Let's wait until 1 year. So I literally had Google Calendar alert saying, film your 1 year Saber video. And that's what this is. This is my 1 year Saber video. And I don't know when I'll rewatch Saber again. I will eventually. I probably wait a couple years just because it was last season, and I usually don't rewatch a lot of seasons shortly after they're done, except for 01. Obviously, I never fully finished 01. I finished it when the Blu-ray came out. I bought that and I watched it that way. I was actually about to start Kuga, but then I was like, oh, we got a Blu-ray coming out. I'll wait till the end of September and pick that up. But yeah, this is really for Saber. I just wanted to like finally sit down and talk about Saber one last time. Because I haven't done that. And that's really it. Like, I think overall it was a good season. They overcame a lot of hurdles and a lot of crap that was going on to give us a show. And I respect it and I appreciate it. Risking health and everything else to give us Kamen Rider, and not even like that's the thing, and that's why I'm like I'm never going to shit on this season. But that's really it for this video. Like I said, I didn't write it out. I can't do scripted videos. I really can't. I've tried. I can't. Like, I'd rather fumble on my words and think about what I'm saying on camera than to just read like a robot because I can't interject me into words on a paper. It just doesn't come off as genuine. And anyone who could do scripted videos, I give you all the credit in the world. I can't. I really can't. I'd just be like this the whole time. And then they said, like, I can't do it. But I thank you guys for watching. I thank everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. I got to do my Revice episode 50 reaction. But I think that actually is going to go live before this because I'm going to be not. I'd rather get that one out first because in a timely manner. But I thank everyone who's been watching. Comment below. Did you finish Saber? It's been a year. Have your thoughts changed on Saber? Like, where do you stand with it? But with that being said, I thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And I will see you guys in the next video.